Resuming debate, the honourable member for Langley Aldergrove.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A real honor and a privilege to represent my community of beautiful Langley Aldergrove. I want to thank the member from Abbotsford for his hard work, and truly we can say that, his hard work over the many years representing his community well. But he brought up so many good and important points, and I hope the government is listening. As he was speaking and as we heard questions, and I've been listening to the debate this morning, and I want to congratulate the parliamentary secretary for being recognized for having spoken more words in this parliament than anybody else. And what a great record he has. He sure talks. So, Mr. Speaker, I also jotted down the parliamentary secretary what he was saying in his questions and statements. He said, "Where are the facts coming from?" And you know, it's if the government doesn't know where the facts are coming from, we have a problem. Maybe why this is one of the reasons why, Mr. Speaker, Canadians are very concerned with this government. They're losing trust in this government, and the decisions they're making are not logical. They said, and the member from Abbotsford just addressed the issue, it's a national issue that too many young people are using marijuana. Yes, they are. They are. It is a problem. So if 21% of children are using it, I took training with the RCMP, so I can, instead of riding around in the car, I took the bike training. It's a one-week course. And I wanted to be able to be with the RCMP members as they traveled on the bike units in different parts of the area, into the parks, and came across how are they dealing with the issue of drugs. And it was being confiscated from youth because it's bad for youth. And that's when it's illegal. Yes, youth are using it. Yes, it could be 21%. But it's a problem. And right now, they're confiscating it. They take their names. And I was very proud of how they were handling the situation. I agree with the member from Abbotsford that it should be decriminalized. It should be a ticketable offense. I don't believe it should be a criminal offense. But right now, it's illegal. We have a problem. I asked the Youth Advisory Board, and the very people that the government is saying, the 21% of children and 30% of young adults, they are on my Youth Advisory Board. And I didn't ask them what percentage of you or who's using and who's not. But these are bright young people that are going to be, hopefully, our leaders in the years to come. I said, what do you think of the government's goal of having it legalized by July 1st? Why July 1st? And they all smiled. And do you think they're on the right track? And almost all the hands went up, and they all wanted to have input. Overwhelmingly, they criticized the government. And in this Youth Advisory Committee, there are young people that are from all political persuasions. They're not conservatives. I didn't want just conservatives. I wanted a full spectrum representing our community of Langley Aldergrove. And overwhelmingly, they said the government should not be moving so fast. They should be listening to the different police forces across Canada. They should be listening to health authorities across Canada, all saying Canada is not ready for this. Now, the Prime Minister may have smoked some joints or been in a room where joints were being smoked while he was the leader of the opposition, which is inappropriate. But because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. And the Youth Advisory Board overwhelmingly said the government should slow the process down. Education, yes, it is a problem, so they need to educate youth on the risks associated. That's how we dealt with the tobacco problem. And it's been quite successful. And past governments maybe should have done more to address through education. Maybe there should have been research on what medical benefits there are from marijuana, because we do have a problem in this country with marijuana. But the logic of the government is, we have a problem, so let's legalize it, and that'll solve the problem. So logic would determine, and in criminology, you can determine what somebody is likely to do by past behavior. And that's in psychology too. It's common sense, it's logic. And so why not look at what other jurisdictions have found by legalizing? Did it make things better or did it make things worse? Well, actually, it made things way worse. You have actually criminology, the criminal connection to distribution of pot has actually increased in Colorado. And this is the facts and the research being done. In the years since it was legalized in Colorado, the state has seen an increase in marijuana-related traffic deaths, poison control calls for aid, emergency room visits. The marijuana black market has increased in Colorado, not decreased. And numerous Colorado marijuana regulators have been indicted for corruption.
Oh.
In 2012, we were promised, this is Dr. Harry Bull, the superintendent of the Cherry Creek Schools, said that we were promised funds from marijuana taxes that would benefit our communities, particularly schools. The superintendent says he was in charge of one of the largest school districts in the state, said, so far the only thing that legalization of marijuana has brought to our schools has been marijuana. So interesting in being with the police on the bike unit and then also in the cars as I seeing how they so professionally protect our communities, try to keep our communities safe in practical, realistic ways, and they confiscate. What the government is proposing is if somebody is driving a car and have some buddies in the car, if there is an open bottle of alcohol and in that vehicle, the police can confiscate the open bottle of alcohol. But the marijuana in the car, 30 grams, which is 60 joints, if there is 4 people in that car, every one of them can have a baggie legally by this government with 60 joints. 60 times 4? What?
240.
It's illogical to say this is how we're going to fight the problem. This is how we're going to fight organized crime. When the Liberal government says too many criminals are wanting our young people to use pot, and we don't. This is what the parliamentary secretary said. Mr. Speaker,
What a joke.
so they're going to go into competition with the criminal element. They're going to make sure that the quality of the pot is good and you can have lots of it. Everybody can have 60 joints if you're 18 and older. Now, if you're a child, and we would be confiscating this, children now, between 12 and 18, will be able to have 5 grams, which is 10 joints. Is that good to say you can have? It's illogical. So, Mr. Speaker, what the government is saying and what is reality, and learning from others that have made mistakes, the government is proposing going way beyond what Colorado did. There are going to be way more deaths on our roads. Our roads are going to be less safe, and they're rushing this before there's any technology to determine impairment.
Exactly.
Drug driving impairment. And we just dealt with C-46, which is, how is the government going to get tough when they kill somebody driving drunk? There's going to be at least a $1,000 fine for driving drunk by killing somebody. And on the second offense, you're going to get at least 10 days in jail. You're going to get a 30-day sentence for killing the second time. It is bizarre what the government is proposing. It makes our communities unsafe, and it's wrong. So I just remind the government, just because the government can do something doesn't mean that they should. Thank you.
Questions and comments?